40 sailors are swimming in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No land for thousands of miles. Suddenly, someone screams, "Shark!" A 6-foot predator breaks the surface, heading straight for them. Within seconds, a Coast Guard specialist grabs his weapon. The chief yells, "Shoot it!" Bursts of gunfire echo across the water. The shark closes in. Swimmers are scrambling. Every second counts. This isn't a movie. This actually happened. And what unfolded next became one of the most talked about moments in modern Coast Guard history. It was August 21st. The crew of the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Kimball had been at sea for weeks. Day after day, same routine, same ocean, same isolation. They were patrolling somewhere in Oceania, far from any coastline. The weather was perfect, the water was calm, and after completing their operations for the day, the crew decided to take a break. They called it a swim call, a rare chance to jump off the ship and cool down in the open ocean. Everything was planned. Safety measures were in place. A small rescue boat was deployed. A shark watch was assigned, and an inflatable unicorn was even tossed into the water for some fun. It was supposed to be a simple, relaxing moment. But the ocean had other plans. Introduction. About 30 to 40 crew members were in the water. Some were laughing, others floating on their backs, enjoying the rare freedom. The ship's bridge crew was keeping watch from above. The flight deck had a clear view of everyone below. Then, without warning, the radio crackled. "Shark!" That single word changed everything. All eyes turned to the water. A large, dark shape was gliding just beneath the surface. It wasn't a small reef shark. This was a 6 to 8 foot predator, later identified as either a longfin mako or a pelagic thresher. Both are aggressive, both are dangerous, and this one was heading straight toward the swimmers, only 30 feet away. Maritime Enforcement Specialist First Class Samuel Kintron was standing on the flight deck. He was assigned as the Shark Watch, armed and ready. His job was to protect the crew if anything went wrong. And now, something had gone very wrong. The shark surfaced near the ship's rescue door, moving with purpose. Kintron immediately locked onto the target. His weapon was ready. But he didn't fire yet. He waited for the order. Then, from behind him, his chief shouted the words that would echo in every sailor's memory. "Shoot it! If you think what happened next is incredible, type proud in the comments below." Building tension, Kintron didn't hesitate. He fired a well-aimed burst right at the shark just above its head. The bullets struck the water with force. The shark turned away. For a moment, it looked like the threat was over, but then it circled back. It wasn't giving up. Kintron fired again. This time, the shark veered off to the side. Crew members in the water were already moving. Some swam for the Jacob's Ladder at the back of the ship. Others headed for the small rescue boat. A large group made for the stern notch, where rope lines were being thrown down. The scene was controlled chaos. No one was panicking, but everyone was moving fast. The shark kept circling. Every few seconds, Kintron fired another burst. Each time, the shark would turn away, then come back. It was relentless. The crew on the flight deck kept their eyes locked on the predator. "Heading toward the bow! Heading toward the bow!" someone shouted. Swimmers changed direction. Kintron adjusted his aim. He fired again. The shark waved off, but it didn't leave. It stayed close, testing the waters, looking for an opening. Here's something most people don't realize. Sharks don't usually attack during swim calls. In fact, Navy and Coast Guard crews have conducted thousands of these operations over decades, and shark encounters, extremely rare. The crew of the Kimball later said they had hundreds of years of combined sea experience, and not one of them had ever seen a shark show up during a swim call. So why did this one appear? Why did it keep coming back, even after being fired at? Experts believe the shark may have been drawn by the noise, the splashing, the movement. To a predator, that can look like struggling prey, or maybe it was just curious. Either way, it wasn't backing down easily. Kintron kept firing. His accuracy was remarkable. He wasn't trying to kill the shark. He was trying to drive it away. Navy instructions are clear on this. Fire only as a last resort, and only when directed. The goal isn't to harm the animal, but to protect human lives. And that's exactly what Cintron did. Every burst was calculated, every shot was precise. He kept the shark at bay while his shipmates climbed to safety. One by one, they reached the ladders, the boat, the stern. The inflatable unicorn even made it back on board. No one was hurt, well, almost no one. Before we dive deeper, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but makes a huge difference to us. Continuing the story. As the last few sailors pulled themselves out of the water, one crew member scraped his knee while climbing aboard. It was a minor injury, didn't even need a band-aid. But here's the twist. That scrape landed right in the center of a tattoo. And what was the tattoo? A set of open shark's teeth. You can't make this up. The crew later joked that the only casualty of the day was a knee, and it happened to be marked by a shark tattoo. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. That night, the most requested movies on the ship were Jaws and Sharknado. The crew needed a way to process what had just happened, and humor was the perfect outlet. But this wasn't just a funny story. It was a reminder of how prepared these men and women are. The Kimball crew stayed calm under pressure. They followed procedures. They trusted their training. And they trusted Cintron. His quick response likely prevented a tragedy. If the shark had reached the swimmers before anyone reacted, the outcome could have been very different. Sharks don't always attack to kill, but when they bite, the damage is immediate. Blood in the water attracts more sharks. Panic spreads. Rescue becomes harder. Cintron's actions stopped that chain of events before it even started. Second drop-off, hook. Now let's talk about what makes this even more impressive. The weapon Cintron used wasn't designed for underwater targets. Bullets lose speed and accuracy the moment they hit water. Drag slows them down fast. That's why shooting at a shark isn't usually effective. But Cintron wasn't aiming to hit the shark directly. He was firing just above it, creating noise and disruption. The shock waves, the splashes, the sudden bursts of energy, all of that sent a clear message to the predator. This isn't prey, this is danger, and it worked. The shark kept coming back, yes, but it never reached the swimmers. Every time it got close, Cintron fired. Every time, it turned away. This brings up another question. Why didn't the crew just stay out of the water in the first place? Good question. Swim calls are actually important for morale. When you're on a ship for weeks or months at a time, the monotony is real. Every day feels the same. You wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. The ocean stretches endlessly in every direction. There's no break, no change of scenery, no escape. Swim calls give the crew a mental reset, a chance to feel human again, to break the cycle, and they're usually safe. Ships choose calm waters, they post lookouts, they deploy rescue boats, they assign armed shark watches. It's a well-oiled system. But nature is unpredictable, and that's exactly what happened on August 21st, 2020. Adding depth. Let's zoom out for a second. This story isn't just about one shark and one sailor. It's about a long tradition of preparedness in the U.S. Coast Guard and Navy. Shark watches have been part of naval operations for decades, especially during search and rescue missions. When sailors are in the water, whether by choice or by accident, someone is always watching. Someone is always armed. Someone is always ready to act. This protocol has saved lives more times than we know. Most of those moments never make the news. They happen quietly, far from cameras, in the middle of the ocean, where no one else is watching. But the Kimball crew recorded this one. They shared the video on the ship's official Facebook page, and it went viral. People around the world watched in shock and awe. Comments flooded in. Some praised Cintron. Others questioned why anyone would swim in open ocean in the first place. But those who understand military life got it. They understood the need for mental breaks. They understood the trust these sailors have in each other. and they understood the courage it takes to stand on that flight deck, weapon in hand, ready to protect your brothers and sisters at a moment's notice.
Turn it back! Turn it back!
Expanding the context, this isn't the first time sharks have posed a threat to U.S. sailors. History is full of these encounters. Some ended in tragedy. Others ended in miraculous rescues. One of the most famous cases involved the USS Indianapolis. In 1945, the ship was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine. Nearly 900 sailors ended up in the water. For 4 days, they floated in the open ocean. No rescue, no food, no water. And sharks circled them constantly. By the time help arrived, only 316 men survived. Many of the deaths were caused by shark attacks. It remains the worst shark attack in recorded history, and it's a haunting reminder of how vulnerable humans are in the ocean. But there's another story, one that's less known, but equally powerful. In 1942, during the Battle of Guadalcanal, the USS Gregory was sunk by Japanese destroyers. Sailors were thrown into shark-infested waters. One man, Petty Officer First Class Charles Jackson French, tied a rope around himself and swam for hours, towing a raft of wounded sailors to shore. Sharks circled so close they brushed against his feet. But he didn't stop. He saved over a dozen lives that night. For decades, his heroism went largely unrecognized, but in 2024, the Navy finally honored him. A future destroyer will be named USS Charles J. French. His story, like Cintron's, is a testament to courage under pressure. Bringing it back. So what do these stories have in common? They all involve ordinary sailors doing extraordinary things. Cintron didn't set out to be a hero that day. He was just doing his job. He was following orders. He was protecting his crew. But in that moment, he became something more. He became the guy who stood between danger and his shipmates. He became the reason everyone went home safe. And that's what the military does. It trains people to be ready for the unexpected, to stay calm when chaos erupts, to act when others freeze. The crew of the Kimball didn't panic. They didn't scream or flail. They moved with purpose. They followed the plan. They trusted the system, and they trusted each other. That's what makes stories like this so powerful. It's not just about the shark or the shooting. It's about the people, the training, the discipline, the bond that exists between service members. When you know your life depends on the person next to you, you develop a level of trust that civilians rarely experience. That trust was on full display during the swim call. Honoring the service. The U.S. Coast Guard doesn't always get the recognition it deserves. People think of the Navy, the Army, the Marines, but the Coast Guard? They're often overlooked. Yet they're out there every single day doing some of the most dangerous work imaginable. They rescue people in hurricanes. They intercept drug traffickers. They protect our coastlines. They patrol the open ocean in conditions most people can't even imagine. And they do it without fanfare, without headlines, without praise. They do it because it's their duty. The men and women on the Kimball are no different. They were thousands of miles from home, carrying out their mission in isolation. No family, no friends, no comforts, just the ship, the crew, and the ocean. And when danger struck, they handled it like professionals. Cintron's actions that day were a reflection of the Coast Guard's values: preparedness, courage, service. He didn't think about himself. He thought about his shipmates. He thought about getting everyone back on board safely. And he succeeded. This is what the armed forces represent. Men and women who put others first, who train for years to be ready for seconds, who stand watch while the rest of us sleep, who face danger so we don't have to. The Kimball crew exemplified all of that on August 21st, 2020, and they deserve every bit of recognition for it. Final reflection. Let's circle back to the question that started this. Why did this story go viral? Because it's real. It's raw. This wasn't Hollywood, no special effects. Just a shaky phone video shot by a crew member. You can hear reggae music in the background, you can hear the crew shouting, you can hear the gunfire, and you can see the shark circling, refusing to leave. It's not polished, it's not scripted, it's just real people dealing with a real threat in real time. This was a moment where training met instinct, where preparation met danger, and where one man's quick thinking kept everyone safe. The crew of the Kimball will tell this story for the rest of their lives. These are the moments that define military service. Not the medals, but the everyday moments where people show what they're made of. Wrapping up. So, what can we learn from this? First, preparation matters. The crew didn't panic because they were trained. Second, leadership matters. Sintren's chief gave a clear order and he followed it. Third, courage matters. Sintren faced the threat head-on. And fourth, trust matters. The system worked because everyone played their part. This story reminds us why we should honor our military. These men and women volunteer to serve. They leave their families. They face dangers most of us will never experience. The Coast Guard, the Navy, the Army, the Marines, they're all filled with people like Sintron. People who step up when it matters. People who put service above self. The Kimball's shark encounter was just one day in a long deployment, but it showcased the best of what the Coast Guard stands for. Vigilance, bravery, teamwork, and a willingness to bring everyone home safe. Outrow. The next time you hear about a rescue mission, remember this. Remember the crew of the Kimball. Remember Samuel Sintron. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below.